Welcome, welcome this morning to Crafting Your Meaningful Life. I know I say this every time, but if you've ever watched one of my podcasts, this is the one to watch. And the reason being is because of my guest today. And as you can see, the setup's just a little bit different. Usually there are my chairs I sit in all the time. And but I have a live guest who came to my home. And we're just sitting here, and I want to share our conversation, our love for each other, what she's doing, and how this is going to transform my life and your life. And it's a little daunting to think at age 72 that I'm going to be transformed.
Again.
But that is what's ahead. Please welcome with me my beautiful, beautiful friend, Deonne Johnson.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and thanks for that beautiful introduction.
Oh my gosh. So where did we actually first meet? Was it up at the Fight Against Domestic Violence piece?
No, it was at the 40 over 40.
Oh, sure.
Which
40
was
over 40.
Less than a year ago.
Yeah.
And when I heard your story of hiking Kilimanjaro, and I knew I had a picture of me in front of Kilimanjaro.
Yes.
And just hearing your story, a little snippet, I was like, I need to introduce myself to this amazing woman. And everything just clicked, right?
It did.
Yeah.
It did. Yeah. Because I'm way over 40 and you're over 40. So we were just thrilled to be part of this
Yes.
group that was mainly 40-year-olds and some 50-year-olds. But
Yeah. Representing the
yeah, I was
well over 40
I was
crowd.
representing the over 70 group. So there you have it. But it was such a, when I look back on that was just a year ago. Mm-hmm. And how much has happened in both of our lives in that year. It's pretty phenomenal. Mm-hmm. So you reached out to me probably back in March about being on the podcast. And I was like immediately, oh, yes, here's the calendar, sign up. And now here we are 4 months later, you're finally coming on. But what has happened to you in those 4 months are now what we're going to talk about today. Wasn't what we were going to talk about before. That's kind of coming up, but now it's something different. So Deonne, share with my listeners exactly what is happening that is so exciting in your life right now.
I essentially got a download to write a book that was not only my own journey of healing, but implementing the tools that I used over the last 12 or 13 years and put them into a sequential book, a linear fashion that can be linear or people can jump in and utilize these individual tools. But it's also my own story woven in.
Yeah.
And there's some pretty authentic and vulnerable stories that I share in there. And then there's also space for you to do the work yourself.
So I just want to tell you about this book. She sent it to me in a PDF format, and I promised her that I would read it on my plane to Ukraine. I didn't. And then I said, okay, I'm going to read it when I get back. Well, then life happened. Yeah. I got back from Ukraine, and I went to Bear Lake for a week with my family. Mm-hmm. And then I got home, and 2 days later, our dear friend, Nikki Walker, passed at only 48. And it affected both of us deeply. And then by the end of that next week, I found myself in the hospital. I had a severe kidney infection and a kidney stone that had completely blocked my kidney. And they kept saying to me the same phrase. Let me just say, I hated it. This is life-threatening for a woman of your age.
Ouch.
And I'm like, stop saying that. You know? But so they actually put me in the hospital, and they went in and put a stint in so the kidney could drain, cleared up. Now the kidney infection is cleared up, and they're going to go back in and take all the. That takes energy out of a person. Mm-hmm. It took a focus out of me. But I understood now why here we are a couple months later, and why it was for me to wait.
Mm. Isn't that beautiful? That surrender where you trust everything does happen for my highest good. Yeah.
If I had read it on my way to Ukraine, I would have read it in this view of pumped up, tiger by the tail, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing. All's well.
Yes.
And I would have read it like this. Okay, zing. Okay, great. Oh, I know many people will like that. Instead, I began reading it of this continual exhale.
Mm-hmm.
And what I learned from Nikki's death and my illness and being in Ukraine, all these brushes with death and struggle, that you never know how fragile life is.
Mm-hmm.
And I darn well better be doing exactly what I want to do, what I meant to do, which I think are the same.
And surrounded by people that you love.
Yeah.
And value relationships, right? And that connection.
And I never want to leave anyone again without having them know exactly how I feel about them and the value that they are in my life. I couldn't wait for you to come this morning. I couldn't wait to embrace you and hold you and just to say, I see you.
Yeah.
And I will never not see you again.
Yeah. That hit a chord. Yeah. Because it's what we all want, is to be seen for who we are at the soul level.
Right.
And I think a lot of times that starts with seeing ourselves, who we are at the soul level. And so in the book, I mentioned mirror work, which is part of it. But I also think there's an opportunity to see the greatness in other people before they see it in themselves.
Oh, yes.
Because hasn't that been part of your journey? When somebody sees good in you, you're like, oh, well, maybe I can believe this about myself if you see it.
Yes. I think everyone has that when enough people see something in you and you're finally, wow, maybe there is good. And now I'm in the piece of the journey, Deonne, where I can actually say, when they say, I see this in you and I want this and I hope someday I get to be, and I tell them this, whatever you see in me already lives in you, or you wouldn't see it in me.
Yes.
And they have that moment of almost like being starstruck, like, what? You mean I already have this inside of me? Mm-hmm. And every time they begin to tear up, mm-hmm. because for the first time, I have gotten to witness that so many times. Mm-hmm. The first time when someone sees that in themselves.
I love rhyming. So the way I've heard that is if you spot it, you've got it.
Oh, I've never heard that phrase.
If you spot it, you got it.
If you spot it, you got it, girl.
That's right.
Now, not to say that all of you are women, but you know that most of you are. But I love all my 10% men that watch. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right. So I really want to talk about the book, even
you.
though that isn't what we were going to talk about. And share with our listeners the title of the book and where they're going to be able to purchase this.
Yeah, so the book is called From Tired to Inspired. And there's this, I can't remember the exact name, but it's like this vibrational frequency spiral. I don't know if you've seen that. And at the bottom of the spiral,
yes.
or the funnel, right, is like shame and guilt,
yeah.
and those. And at the top is peace and bliss. And I thought, I can't get people from a 0 to 1,000. But when I was in the shower, I had this thought, but I've been tired, which is, probably 25, and I can get people to inspired, which is maybe 75%. Like, it's really the roadmap that I wish I would have had. So I'm sure, like, you get a lot of great thoughts in the shower. That's where a lot of my good downloads happen. So
actually, I don't get it in the shower. I get it right out there in my garden. In the early mornings, just sitting in the peace and nature and playing my Celtic music. And I called it in. Some people, I'm sure people have asked you this, how is it these thoughts come to you? Well, to some extent, I call them in.
Yes.
I ask for them.
Yes.
I don't just say, well, someday if you ever feel like it, come visit me and let me know what life's about. I mean, I ponder.
Yes.
the meaning of time and the life's about.
And you commit to taking action on what comes in.
Yes.
Because I think that's a big part of it, because I think sometimes of the relationship that I have with Divine, similar to parents and kids, or maybe manager and direct report. And if you're giving feedback and nobody's taking action, at some point you're like, well, I'll start talking when you decide to like follow through on some of these things. So I feel like it's the same. You can get these divine nudges, you can get insights, you can get downloads. And if you don't do anything with it, then I think God is saying, well, when you're ready to take action, then I might talk again.
You know, as a child, I felt I had a lot of downloads. And then I kind of quit listening. Mm-hmm. And I was just bound and determined to get that square peg in the round hole. And stayed there for such a long time until finally I didn't. So there are so many things that made your book different from most self-help books. I mean, as you can imagine, I've read hundreds of self-help books, people who write them for my podcast, what I read just for my own, like I'm reading one right now called The Awakened Brain. They weren't on my podcast, but I was really drawn to the subject matter. And yours is different from all of them. Mm-hmm. And I'm really trying to pinpoint the difference. First of all, what becomes very clear very fast is the content is different. I have my interpretation about it, but tell me how you see what you've put in this book.
Part of it is my PhD in instructional design. So I understand how people learn, especially adult learners.
Right.
So there's all these, I think Wayne Dyer has a book towards the end of his life where he sees all these little pieces of his life and the little tools that he's picked up along the way. And then he says, and here's why I landed here. So I'm feeling like I'm at that stage of the life where even the cover, I created a spreadsheet to see, I put it out to the world. Who likes this cover? Who likes this cover? I did a data analysis. What did people say?
Yeah.
So who knew that spreadsheets was even going to be part of it? Or the adult learning theory. But so all of this is underneath the background. Even, I am a nerd, even like the bullet journal, the dots, and having the dots so that people feel like they can write or they can watercolor or they can paint or they can use a crayon. It doesn't matter. So it's very like the
that
space.
just opened those pages up to me because I only saw them as connecting dots, but they could be like colors.
When it's printed out, the dots will be very subtle gray so that if people want a straight line or to put it into quadrants, and even the spacing of the dots, like there's so much attention to detail that's behind underneath that people may or may not get. But it's kind of like when you enter a beautiful spa, you don't necessarily pay attention to the room or the color of paint on the walls, but you know how you feel.
Yes.
So there's a lot of intention in the book, how I wanted people to feel. And we talked about this a little bit at the beginning before we started recording. At the very front page, I had 3 different friends that I pasted their picture, and I wanted to write it for those 3 friends being symbolic of women that are going through some sort of change in their life.
Yeah.
So I wanted to write it like, I'm your guide on the side. Like, I am in the trenches. I have done the work. And we don't need to be judgmental about this path that we're on. Here's what I wish a friend would have told me.
You know, I think I mentioned to you that was what struck me as so different about this book. First of all, the content is unique. Mm-hmm. In all those books I've read, I've never heard it expressed just the way you expressed it. The content is completely unique. But then in addition to that, the way that you present the content, it was like you were sitting next to me and just guiding me through these questions and thoughts. It's just presented. And okay, we talked about the dots. You might wonder what those dots are. You have a schematic almost of how you can plot where you are in your life, and what things are important to you, what things are not important to you. Where are you spending your time, your money, your resources, your energy? And it suddenly became so clear to me. And then you showed that one that you would love to have your life be a complete, perfect circle, that every single thing is working lovely. But yours wasn't. It was like, okay, I have this, and then there's a dent over here, and side is flat, and I want it to be rounded. And suddenly it was this ability to see your
Visually.
life.
And that goes back to that adult learning theory, because some people are visual, some people are auditory, some people are kinesthetic. Like, so to have a book that supports the different learning
All three,
styles
Very
is
much
really
so.
powerful.
Yeah. And I think I am all three. If I write something, I never forget it. Like I used to write my podcasts out, and then I could just throw the notes away and give it because I remembered it.
Yes.
And that's what I thought about this chart by creating this wheel of who I am. I'm never going to forget that. And then I can plot my growth stratus from that point. And it's just fascinating.
It also goes back to, as you were saying that, I was thinking, you've built successful businesses. And so some of the strategies that I've implemented in my business world, whether it's my own business now or being responsible for all of the employees in my previous role at a large company and their growth strategy, right? We put these evaluation tools into our business life, but sometimes we forget we can do similar things in our personal life.
Personal life.
So what matters to me? And you mentioned this already, but is my time, money, calendar, my resources, are they supporting the things that I say are important? If not, then we're going to be in this disconnect and this misalignment within. And we wonder why we're not happy. Well, it's because you're not living according to your values. So let's start with, what do you find valuable? And it's different for everyone. It's
Okay,
not right
let's
or
talk
wrong.
about that part.
Yes.
So you mentioned about finding the values that really value you. And I immediately knew which ones I thought I had been putting in my life that were of value. And then as I scrolled down the PDF, there was this like huge, I mean, I'm not just talking a little list. There was a huge list. And as I read through them, I thought, now how many can I choose again? Because so many of them,
Yes.
were of importance to me. But there were some things on that value list that I thought, I don't know if that's of value. Let me give you an example. So, like service, love, joy, I'm just to name a couple that are on there. And then family. And I asked myself, is family of value? What do you think on that? Or is family something you do because of your values?
I remember listening to a podcast by Brene Brown, and family was
We
one
know
of
her.
those.
We love her.
Yes, she's amazing. And she was struggling because family's important to her. And just because she didn't choose that as her final 2 or 3 doesn't mean that she doesn't find value in the relationships with her family
Yeah.
or her friends or whatever. But was that her top 2 or 3? I mentioned in the book, adventure is one of mine.
Yes.
And if I don't have adventure in my life, which can be travel or it can be cooking a new meal, like it doesn't have to be this thing that's so grand that other people feel like they can't have adventure in their own lives. For me, I know that if I have something that's helping me expand and grow, which is often adventure, then I'm living in alignment with my own personal values. And of course, I value family. I've got 4 kids, and I would do anything for them. And I get to take care of me first so that I'm a more full and complete person. And part of that is adventure. And then another part is impact, which is why I wrote this book and why you and I are talking.
Because we like to have impact.
Yeah, I want to share. My mess has become my message.
I
Have you
love
heard
that. My
before?
mess has become my message. I
Yeah.
love that. I think
Yeah.
I live and breathe that all the time.
Yes.
And we get to share that because of that other great value of vulnerability, which is
Absolutely.
right at the top for me, to be able to be willing to be naked in front of people and to not be perfect. And there was just such clarity in your list. And then, so I didn't feel guilty by not choosing family as one of my top three, because it's because of my values that family then will be at the top of my list in terms of action, money, and all those kinds of things, because of my having service be one of my key pieces, joy be one of my key pieces. Where do I find the greatest joy? And it's like with my family.
Right. Right.
Yeah. Oh, God. So much. So, your book is coming out. This show will come out, and then the book comes shortly after that.
Yeah. It'll
Will they be able to find it on Amazon?
Yes. Yeah. It'll be released on Amazon.
Okay. So I want to include a link of where they can, at the end of this, and it probably won't be your Amazon link by then. It'll be, would it be to your website?
Yeah. To my website, and they can hop on a waiting list.
Okay. I love that. That'll be great. If I've ever recommended a book, is it for me. Now, I haven't finished her book, but I read enough of it to know that I'm going to finish it, and I'm probably going to finish it before this is published, because there's just so much there that I don't want to wait for. Tell my listeners a little bit about your background and what led up to, I'm going to write this book.
Yeah, that's a great question. Probably a good time to start. I don't know why this feels like worth mentioning, except that when I step into the unknown is often when the bridge shows up. So I think of that Indiana
Jones
Yeah.
thing.
That has been such a metaphor for my life. So after I graduated from college, I moved to Hawaii, one-way ticket, 22 years old, and thought, I want to live here for a chunk of time. And I ended up living there for 2.5 years. But it was such a declaration of, I'm going to stretch and grow, and I hope that bridge is going to show up and catch me.
And
it did.
At age 22, that takes something.
Yes, yes. And there's been other things like that in my life, starting a PhD as a single mom with a 1 and 4-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
That took another leap of faith. And on paper, it didn't make sense. I already had a master's. I already could have provided for my children. But it just felt like the parting of the Red Sea, which was, that's cute that you think these other doors are available, but this is the path for you for this reason.
What did you get your doctorate in?
Instructional design, which is in the College of Education.
Yeah, and so that really did play such a key role. As I read the book, I'm like, this is set up in such a way that it's so easy to understand. It's structured in a way that I'm moving from one process to the next. I almost knew instinctively what the next chapter was going to be about because it's set up so logically, the way my brain works. Probably the way all of our brains, not just my sick brain, but it's all of us. Okay.
And also infusing my own stories, right? So that as people are reading it, they know I've walked the walk.
Yes.
I'm in the trenches with them. Even today, like we're still going through this evolution, right, of who we are. And people, that's why there's so many stories, so that we can learn from other people's stories, right? So to infuse that was really important to me as well.
So you mentioned as a single mom, that meant, of course, you had a marriage. That was a growth point for you.
Yeah, those happen, don't they? For me twice.
Yeah, for me twice.
I'll keep learning.
Yeah.
Yes.
And I learned different things from each one.
Yes.
One took me 28 years to get enough cracks in my heart and brain to be able to go on with and make the next steps. It didn't happen when I was in the marriage, but it began to happen enough that I could then step. But then, of course, I was in the I'm unlovable phase. And within a year, I was engaged and married because that was my stamp of Mary's okay. See, she got married again. It wasn't him. It wasn't her. It was him.
Yeah. Yeah.
And eventually you just say, okay, that was not the best choice for me.
Right.
And you then find another and begin again.
Because often, I think it's a process, and people come to this crossroads at different times in their life. Some people learn it when they're 12, other people, I mean, I'm 55, so
Yeah.
I'm continuously learning and reminding myself. But instead of, I like to say, outsourcing your happiness, instead of relying on other people or circumstances or things to
Yep.
make you happy,
Absolutely.
at some point you get to look inside and realize, oh, I get to do that all for myself.
Yeah. I love that phrase that we're outsourcing our happiness. And I did that definitely for the first 50 years of my life,
Yeah, I would say same.
and then began to make that transition. And it struck me when you said that you were 22 and you took off just after college. You know, I wouldn't say that's quite so unusual at that point because, you know, you lived the parent life, you lived the college life,
Yeah.
and now let's see what's next. And we do have that adventuresome spirit.
Yes.
But then middle age happens and responsibilities, children, family, okay, now career choices, supporting yourself, financial pressures, all this world peace. And that's where I see sometimes women losing their way and they stop dreaming, stop looking for adventure, in your words, is they get bogged down with what they consider the necessities, the hardness of life, and they lose vision. And in that area of 50s, I would say the majority, or at least half of my listeners, are in that phase. They're career people who are becoming empty nesters. And what it really is that this career is unfulfilling. My children are gone. I want to reinvent. I don't think I can. It's too old. I'm too dyed in the wool.
And
How
it's too
did-
safe and secure
Oh,
and predictable. And people know what
absolutely.
to expect from that version of them.
So how did you rediscover that one of your prime values is adventure?
Because I'm always happy when I've got something that it's not even so much external looking forward to, but it's that adventure of, I know I'm going to grow, which is one of our core human needs. We want to grow
Yep.
and expand and have purpose. So adventure just happens to be the way that I experience that often, whether it's getting off a plane and I don't know a soul and I'm just going to figure it out.
But like in Kilimanjaro in the middle of the
Yes.
night, I don't speak this language and I hope the guy's there with the sign with my name on it. And what will I do if he's not here? I'll just cross that bridge when I come to it. I mean, that sense of adventure.
Yes. Yes. And also trusting in the good of humanity, trusting that you're going to be okay, trusting that you're going to be safe and cared for, that your guardian angels or whatever label you give, that divine protection, right?
Yeah.
That you're important, that you're cared for, that you're seen, that you're heard, that you matter.
Yeah.
So all of that is tied into adventure for me. It's not necessarily the one-way ticket to Hawaii or...
It's not the adrenaline rush.
Correct.
Explain to me the difference between being an adrenaline junkie and someone who seeks adventure.
I would just say it through my own lens. I'm not an adrenaline junkie, but I do seek adventure because of the growth that happens, because I'm getting out of my comfort zone.
Right.
They say there's no growth in the comfort zone and no comfort in the growth zone. And that's true for me.
I love
and
that.
every time I stretch, then my comfort zone gets bigger. And that means I can take larger and larger risks, but not for the adrenaline's sake, but just because I want to expand and grow. And I think there's a strong correlation as I'm doing that. Like my heart expands too. Like I can love more because there's my comfort zone is larger. It's all intertwined for me.
I love that. And it is that sense, and you will experience this, and then you will lift again. I know this is how you live, but when you retire, and then there's that sense of almost nervousness to keep your same shape and size in the world and in your eyes, rather than this just gradual collapsing into yourself. Mm-hmm. And for me, what I've realized in this last little bit and some of my lessons from your book and from Nikki, that I was really doing too much efforting at keeping my size and shape. And I don't mean physical size and shape. I mean my emotional size and my mental size and my spiritual size and shape. Not only for me, but in the community. And the realization that I had been using a lens of ambition was very humbling. And to refocus my lens to what really matters. Mm-hmm. So I went on a walk the other day and I saw hundreds of dragonflies symbolizing change. I'm like, oh, hi. Okay, I'm glad you all came here to talk to me today. Thank you very much. Everywhere I go now, I'm seeing dragonflies just like crazy. And then I started your book, and I don't say this very often, but your book is going to be my guide.
Wow.
In this next phase of my life. And I know that the printed copy will come out shortly after this podcast. I can't wait. I'm going to just finish your PDF and just read it because it's what I need right now.
Yes.
And I guess maybe I didn't think adventure was part of my thing, but maybe it is that, okay, I've discovered all these new things post-retirement, but what is there really here? What's really next for me? Is it just continuing to do workout videos and just continuing to put out, how you can live an inspired life? Is it really about others? I'm actually circling back, Deonne. It's not about others. Even though others may benefit, and that may be something that I'm appreciative of, but it first has to be what's alignment for me. Mm-hmm. I know you talked about alignment in your book, and you said some things that really struck me about alignment and finding personal alignment. And can you share your thoughts on alignment and why that's such a critical piece?
We're all so different, right? I think we're in some ways raised in a cookie cutter society that we should look this way, think this way, act this way.
Oh, yeah.
And that doesn't honor who we are at our core. But who are we at our core? Like, that's the first question, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure there's an overlap in our values and outlook on life, but we also have different ones too.
Right.
So asking that question, what matters to me first? And then, am I putting my resources, my time and money towards this?
Yeah.
What brings me joy? I would imagine, again, that you and I have an overlap. Like today on the drive down, I had the sunroof open and I was singing at the top of my lungs.
Whenever I can have the sunroof open and the windows down, I'm that girl.
Yeah. I felt bad for people at the stoplight because I was singing Sarah Bareilles loud and
wonderful.
Yes. But other people may not find joy in that at all.
Yeah.
So what does bring us joy? And that's another of the exercises in there too, right? Is to create your joy list. And for me, most of my joy things don't even require that much money. It's sitting outside in my backyard as the sun is setting and having a conversation with my kids. And Josh, if you listen to this, it's when you play the guitar, my cute little 24-year-old boy. It's things like that don't cost a lot of money, but that really hit my heart. It's watercoloring. I'm not great at watercoloring, but I have to be fully present and just let the water and the color morph into its thing and trusting in the messiness of life.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
So, Josh, just so you know, that doesn't end. My son is 43, and when they come for Sunday dinner, he plays the grand piano, and I just stop everything and come in, just put my hands on his shoulders and say, "Oh, thank you for filling our home with music, and I'd love to hear you play." And, you know, that doesn't end. You're probably going to have that for a long time. So as you think about this book and this work, do you see this as your great life's work, or what's next for Deonne? And there doesn't have to be anything next. Your focus might be right here, but I think you have a vision.
I do. And this book is part of it. It was intentionally set with 12 chapters because to create a quarterly support so that I can bring a community of like-minded women together and talk about a chapter a week for 12 weeks. Or if people want to do in-depth and do it over a year. So I really see it laying the foundation for my coaching practice and workshops and speaking engagements.
I love that.
And I also have a couple of other books that that are out in the ethers. One is another book similar to this, understanding the dance of masculine and feminine energy within us and also within partnership. I've learned enough about that on my own that it's been very valuable to understand myself.
Yes.
And then the next one is a really fun novel. So
Okay.
yeah. It's fun to have enough time and space. Like when you talk about being in your garden, that's another part of it too. Like to give yourself that space, whether it's meditation, prayer, but you have to give yourself that space to even get the ideas. And so that's another reason I love travel, because there is no laundry to be done. There are no kids to take care of. I love all of my kids, but it also takes, focus and attention. But when I travel by myself, even driving down here today, I got a couple of little downloads that it was like, ooh, are you going to listen to that nudge? Yes, I am. I'm going to reach out to that person. And,
Excellent. Tell me what you're doing now currently are you actively involved in coaching now? Mm-hmm. Tell me about that.
I will. And also for the short term, I'm not going to take any additional clients. I'm going to wrap up with the ones that I have.
Okay.
Because it goes, and this was in the book too, if everything's important, nothing's important.
Yes. I remember reading that and just thinking that's absolutely right.
So to do coaching and retreats and workshops and books and speaking engagement is too much right now. So my priority gets to be the book and then the workshops that will be utilizing the book as a foundation and bring a community of women together.
I like that.
And it goes back to my expertise in engagement and instructional design and how do people learn and they want to feel connected. Like just understanding humans and who we are and then creating that space and that structure to help support that learning and connection. It's my sweet spot, if I'm honest.
It totally is a sweet spot. When you put this out, will you also put out an Audible at the same time or later?
Yes. Either now or later.
I love that answer. Yes.
It's coming. It's been really sweet because as I've shared the advanced copy with a couple of people, I was in Kenya 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
And 2 of the women were reading it. And they said, I love reading it and hearing your voice read it to me, even though it wasn't in audible format as they were reading it. They were like, it's just like you're right here on my shoulder or in my pocket reading this. So it will be an audio version as well.
And you'll read it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it's my words, it's my story.
It's your story, and no one else can read it like that. I think that's so wise and so profound to do that. And I also would, having had a published book, I would also recommend that you do it sooner rather than later.
Okay.
The Audible part.
You can probably connect me with the person for that.
Yeah, I know right where I recorded mine at, and just downtown here. But I waited. I waited 3 years. And so the initial push that you have with your book was over. And so I didn't really ever promote the audio part of the book. And I could have really put it out to more people, because I had a lot of people, and you will too, say, is it available on Audible? Yeah. Because, I mean, I read 4 books a month now because of Audible. where I used to read 4 books a year in my busy life. And so it's really changed that for me.
And I think having both, it'll be like I'm in their ear to remind them of some of these truths and these questions. Because if I think about therapy, which not that the book's therapy, but a good therapist asks really good questions so that you can get to the
Right.
answer within, which is also how my book is put together. So having the audible version where they can hear it, and then that they have the book that they can draw
Yep.
and
And
write.
that's the critical piece that I think you do have to make sure you're clear with them. This is probably never going to be an impact book for you if you only do the audible. There's so much content that you have to see visually, like the dots that we've been talking about.
Yeah.
If you don't see that visually, you're not going to connect the dots. You're not going to understand like why that matters. And so I do think that's a critical piece. And I don't think it matters which you do first, the chicken or the egg. But I know that if you listen to the audible, you'll want the printed copy for sure. Yeah. So when you started this whole project and you had these visions of what you want to do next, I know the visions for your life do not just include writing additional books. What do they include?
We've talked about even leading a retreat together because we're both involved with humanitarian work.
Yeah.
I've been leading humanitarian retreats for the last 13 years, usually one or two a year. So they don't always have to be international. I have one in Bear Lake, actually, in September that's smallish. I think we're capping it at 17 people. So when this comes out, that'll be close to being passed, or I don't think there will be any spots available. But it's helping support women to support other women. So if I really take my dream really large, it's to create a almost certification program based on this book so that women can have these like coaching circles, community of women that are doing the work and supporting each other as they work through the book.
Beautiful. And I think that I can imagine by training then, certifying, then you don't have to teach and you don't have to lead every single one of these to change the world. It's that ripple effect.
Yeah, it's train the trainer. It's leading the leaders. It's putting the resources into other women's hands so that they can also continue to support. Because if I'm the cog in the wheel and I can only support 10 women with one-on-one coaching, that's not letting the ripple effect happen.
And it's why I do my podcast. I mean, I can only talk to so many people, but my podcast can be heard by multiple. The book can be heard by multiple. Speaking engagements are another way you multiply your impact on the one. But in this transition that I'm going through personally now, I feel like it's a transition back to the one.
That sounds like the ebb and flow of the ocean, right?
Yeah.
Or kind of like I think of the infinity sign, like the pendulum.
She likes the infinity sign. How did I know that?
You know, it's part of my logo.
Yes.
That's funny. That I didn't realize we had that in common.
Very much so.
Yeah.
It is.
It's the yin and the yang. It's the balance, right? And sometimes the pendulum swings farther left so that it can swing farther right, and then we land in the middle. And life does. It ebbs and flows, for sure.
And it's what I do in my garden every single morning. I make the sign of infinity. It's my path, no one else's. Everyone has their own path. But as I stand in that morning sun and I draw my arms out, and I used to be able to see my life as it was, and then to the now, and then into the future. But now when I do it, I see beyond this life and the lives I have lived, and I see beyond this life and what's yet to live. When you come back to this intersection, every day I end right here. Because this intersection of time is today, is now. And what is past, and what is yet to come is yet to come. But the only thing that truly matters is what I'm doing now. Mm-hmm. And so it gives me that moment to just think about the now and what I'm doing and what matters today. Mm-hmm. I learned this lesson on Kilimanjaro in a big way. On that last day, when I just was like, I can't do this. Can they get a helicopter up here?
Tapping out.
That's just it, you know. And I was screaming at the mountain. You don't know who I am. I make raps, okay? And everyone back home thinks I'm a badass. And you know, I've done all these things in my life. I should be able to do this. And I don't know why you're being so hard on me. I mean, I was blaming the mountain. And just like as clear as a bell. And I was hiking alone at the time, climbing, and I had a guide with me that didn't speak English, so I could say what I needed to say without him rolling his eyes, which he did about me anyway. And the mountain said back to me, I don't care. I don't care what you've accomplished in the past and who you think you are. The only thing that matters to me is today, is right now. Mm. This is where the rubber meets the road, today. What are you going to bring today? Right now, in this footstep. And that's how it became for me, just that poly-poly at the last, just...
Poly-poly is slowly in Swahili, yes.
One step at a time.
Yep.
And I just, if I can just put my foot in front of me one more time, one more time, one more time. And the first time my guide said to me, look back. And I looked back over my shoulder and I saw the sun coming up. Mm. And I realized I'd been walking for 6 hours, climbing for 6 hours. And I calculated how long it was to the top. I'm like, we're going to make it. I'm almost there.
Yeah.
I only have another 2 hours and I'm going to be on top, you know. And that exhilaration, suddenly I wasn't tired anymore. That realization that you're going to make it. That's what I think your book and our lives want to give to others. Mm-hmm. The belief, yes. The hope that you're going to make it, that it's possible.
Yes.
And here's an archetype that you can use to find your way when you're lost.
And to find your way, right? Not the way, not the way that somebody else tells you. But here are questions that you can ask yourself to make sure that you're living your life. These are the questions that I wish I would have had in a succinct little book.
Right.
To ask myself the questions. What is it that I want? What do I get to do with my one wild and precious life?
Yeah, right? I love that.
Mary Oliver quote right
Mary
there.
Oliver, yeah. She's one wild and wonderful. Crazy.
When you were talking about that, I felt like I should share one of my lessons from Africa, which was a year ago. And we were doing some Tai Chi in the community. We just had this morning session, and the invitation was to let it go. Whatever you were holding on to, leave it behind. And I realized that it was in some ways literal, in a lot of ways figurative and symbolic. And I was holding on to what I would say is my own shit. Not recognizing that if I actually let it go, I was holding on to it because I didn't want to bother anybody else with what I was carrying. And I had the epiphany.
Say that again. You were holding on to it. Why?
Because I didn't want to bother anyone else with it. It felt like I'm the one that's either made these choices or held on to these beliefs or whatever the garbage was in my backpack. And I had the epiphany of, what if my shit is fertilizer that the earth actually needs.
For someone else's growth.
Or the earth, or the interaction that we have with trees. What if me letting
trees.
it go is actually doing good? Not only for me to let go of it, but what if somebody needs this garbage, this unburdening of me? What if it's fertilizer for the earth, or for another human, or for the trees? And it was one of those very profound moments where I realized maybe I was being selfish in holding on to this.
Wow.
You and I have both gone through a pretty major physical transformation too, right? And I know that as we release our thoughts that no longer serve us, then it also often transforms our physical body and we show up differently.
Yeah. And the question of what comes first, the chicken or the egg, I think of the yo-yo transformations that I thought I was going throughout my entire life. Always began first with the physical. You know, this plan, this diet, blah, blah. You name it, I did it. But always to no avail. And this time, if you want something different, try something different. That definition of insanity, just keep doing the same thing again and then thinking you're going to change. And I put my mental health, my emotional healing, my spiritual awakening first. And the rest of it just stepped in. The physical stepped in. I think that might have been your experience as well.
100%, that's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. In the year and a half since leaving my corporate role, I released 75 pounds in the first 9 months.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say without effort, but it was because I was stepping into who I was designed to be.
It's different. It's right now when we talk about effort, we think about effort, making it
calories.
happen.
Yes.
This is my square peg and it's darn well going to
Yes.
fit in this round hole. And if I pound hard enough, I can get it in there. You watched,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's efforting.
Uh-huh.
But efforting, I think in this regard is if you effort at the healing and focus on it. See, for me, the right kind of effort is when you get to focus, refocus, and you have and allow the ahas to come.
I was going to say, allow yourself to receive the
Yeah.
flow, all of that, right? It feels more gracious, more almost even elegant. It feels more divine instead of having your plan, which I'm very good at, and working my
I can make
plan,
a plan like nobody's business.
and it comes to fruition. And then when I surrender, often my life is beyond magic that I even dreamed it could be. Because you're in flow. You're
in
open
flow.
to those divine nudges, right?
Yeah. And I love the idea that how do you know you're in flow? There is ease. And you might still be working at getting that peg in there, but then suddenly something shifts and it goes in. Something morphs and you're able to do that in ease. I love thinking of my life in ease, in flow.
And to be open for the synchronicities, right? I think back to you and I met in September, and then I saw you at a Christmas party
Yes.
in December, right? And reconnected with you then, and you were like, yeah, you should be on the podcast. And then,
Yeah. I'm like, yes. yes, oh, thank
just
you.
like
Yeah, that-
even our relationship and friendship and how that has just, it's been flow.
And over those months, I've become aware this woman sees me. And I was becoming aware that I see you. But it wasn't until I started reading this book and walked out and felt your aura that I couldn't do anything but hold you.
Yeah.
It was so beautiful.
I've heard it said that at Disney World, Disneyland, the characters are instructed to hug the kids until the kids let go.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you were like, even after I kind of let go, you're like, nope, not
I'm not
quite
ready.
done.
I'm not ready yet.
And I was like,
just
I
need
was
more.
all for it. I was like, I'll come in for seconds. Who
I
doesn't
just
want?
was so connecting
Yes.
with that energy in your heart, in that beautiful heart love space. Yeah. So in closing, Deonne, what gift would you like to offer? Your final words of sage wisdom to my listeners who are feeling that there's something here.
Yeah. A few minutes ago, the quote, and it's also in my book, that which you're not changing, you're choosing. I'll say it one more time. That which you're not changing, you're choosing.
Yeah.
When I understood that from my own life and thought, if I don't like the life that I have right now, then I get to choose differently and I can change. And it is going to be unknown, but there's so much beauty in the unknown and surrendering.
There is so much beauty in the unknown. It doesn't have to be fear-based.
No.
We have that thing in our brains that we've been drilled into, what you don't know, you fear.
Mm-hmm.
But it can be what you don't know is your quest. Oh. Can you just feel the wisdom from this woman? It's just, and you may not have the opportunity to know her personally like I do. In fact, as she's talking about this retreat, I'm thinking, I want to create a retreat with her.
Let's do it.
And I want it to be just a 2-day retreat, one night, and allow people to experience your book on a one-on-one level. And I wanted to do it with people who will take that book and share it profoundly.
Mm-hmm.
And that it will have the same effect on that I know it's having on me.
Yeah. I love that idea. I'd be honored to partner with you on that.
All right, okay, stay tuned. I might announce that very soon and you get to be part of it. Okay, you're the first to know.
And the other beautiful part of that is bringing together a collection of like-minded women.
It is.
The friendships that come when we disconnect from our regular life and invest in ourselves. Here's another quote. You don't get the best of me until you invest in me.
Oh, yes.
And I think about that for myself. When I invest in myself, I get the best version of me. So giving women the space to invest in themselves with other women that want to make that investment and the ongoing connections that you have to help support each other as we're all going through that dragonfly transformation. We all are.
Yeah.
Right?
It doesn't end.
No.
I can remember being in my 60s and thinking, how long do I have to go to the gym? I mean, at what point can I say this is enough and I don't have to go?
Yeah.
And then one day I quit asking that. I was like, no. The question is really, how long do I get to go?
Yes.
How long do I get to show up here?
Yes.
As long as I want. I may do different things, but I get to go as long as I want.
Word choice matters so much, right?
So much.
Do you have to go or do you get to? And embracing we get to make every choice.
Yeah.
Do you have to go to work or do you get to go to work? You get to. Yeah. Do you have to make dinner or you get to? Do you have to do laundry or you get to?
Yeah.
Right?
And it just so you know, it doesn't end. And I'm thrilled with that. Yeah. There is that sense of I really thought by the time I got to where I am now, that it would all be buttoned up, wrapped in a box, tied with the bow. It's just done,
Go off to the
but
sunset.
it isn't. It's still, and this ebb and flow, this ever-growing, changing, deepening of understandings that I just embrace. And you have so much wisdom. Your wisdom is beyond your years, you know that. It's beyond this life. It's brought with you from another and gleaned from those yet to come. And you get to manifest it here. So thank you for being on my podcast.
Thank you for being on the journey with me.
Okay, stay tuned for more.
Come to the retreat.
Come to the retreat. Let's do that. Buy the book, listen to the audio, and walk with me through this journey that I've decided to be on. That it's my changing is not going to end. I get to continue to evolve. I'm not made of stone. I'm made of this fluid, and they say that's how you really can change how fast you age, is how elastic you are with your cells, your brain, your heart, that you're still, and you don't become rigid. I think that ages a lot of people, the rigidity. And so, like, let's get jelly, kids. Let's get jelly belly.
I love it.
Thanks for being here. Oh my God. She's like the amazing one. And remember, till next time, you can every single day. Each day is what matters. You get to craft this meaningful life. You don't have to stay where you were. You don't have to live in the future like someday I get to. It's today. You get to craft today and bring your very best self. Deanne and I are standing with you.
100%.
Namaste.
Thank you. Namaste.
Crafting a meaningful life.